go through the process, get across the border, and don't argue or disagree with the CBP officers, because that rarely goes well.
Welcome to Closer Look with Michael Friscolanti. I'm Scott Sexsmith, a very happy Scott Sexsmith. You, on the other hand, not so happy.
Oh, are we going to get into this? No, I'm not a Blue Jays fan. That shirt, it's extra hot in here just watching you squeeze into that little shirt.
Look, I'm not going to lie. I had to suck in my gut a little bit just to...
Do you get all the buttons done up?
It doesn't matter if they're all done.
I don't want to say.
What you can't see below the table does not matter.
I don't want to say, but true fans would have a jersey that fit. I'm just saying. Saying. Like, not fair weather fans have the old jerseys from the 90s.
I will go on record as saying when I bought it, it fit.
Yes. All right. I believe you.
What a game.
A hell of a game, yeah.
It really – so, okay, full disclosure, it's 3-1. It's like, I don't know, 10 o'clock, 10:15. I'm like, screw it. I'm going to bed. Because to me, they looked flat. Did they look flat to you?
They looked very flat. And I know that. But Buck kept saying that, this team's come back all year. They led the league and come from behind wins.
Yeah.
And 3-1 to the Jays, that's nothing, right? But Seattle has a great bullpen, and they just, I don't know. They just didn't make it happen.
Yeah. Wow. Exciting. So anyway, I go to bed, check my phone. All of a sudden, it's 4-3.
Yeah. It was a legendary home run. And, again, it's not my favorite team. But what a moment for in baseball. It was a great moment. And to hear him afterwards, he talked about how I was just trying to knock that runner in from third. He was just trying to get a deep fly ball. Yeah. And it just kept going. And, man, that place went bonkers. It did remind me of the Batista blast.
I bet you his knee never felt better.
Yeah, I bet. And he's a winner. He's a winner.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, game one of the World Series goes Friday night in Toronto at Rogers Centre.
Yeah.
Dodgers, Blue Jays. We don't know starting pitchers yet, but I'm sure that information will.
Yeah. I know you tried to get tickets. What were you, 2 millionth on the waiting list or something?
When I first logged on, Ticketmaster this morning, I think I was like 236,000 in the queue.
That's insane.
There you go.
It was rocking there the last night. You know what? We talked about the renovations done to the Rogers Centre. They kept saying, the crowd of 44,000 people. Remember when it first opened, it seated like 55,000?
I think it was just over 56. Yeah.
So they've really cut back on the seats to make it more of an experience, right?
Right. But when you're selling a can of beer at $16 a pop, right, you earn that revenue back pretty quickly.
Yeah. I am, as a baseball fan, it will be a great World Series. You have two superstars, Ohtani and Guerrero, who are at the top of their games right now. And I think it was Derek that mentioned it's the furthest geographical possible distance between World Series opponents. I mean, that's going to be quite a road trip.
And it will be interesting to see what kind of a toll that takes on players, right? Because you're flying coast to coast like that. That's not easy.
Are you going to wear that shirt the whole 10 days? Or just keep it on? Or?
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
That's superstition. You should just keep it on now forever.
Wow.
No showering.
That would mean that I couldn't eat anything because I'd just start popping buttons, That wouldn't bode well. Okay. Oh, we should mention from last night's program, we all predicted a score. You were 7-3 Mariners. Obviously, no. I was 4-1 Jays. Derek, you were 5-2 Jays?
Yeah.
So, Derek.
Yes, Derek. Sorry. I thought you. Yeah. Well, you predicted.
I said 4-1.
Yes, so you had the right winning score.
I did. 4-1. No, it was 4-3.
Yes, but you had the right score for the winners. 4.
I did.
And Derek was closest.
We'll call it a draw, but in the end, we're all winners.
I was way
except
off,
for you.
Except for me.
Okay, today on the program, snowbirds.
Yes.
And what they're now going to go through if you are going to be wintering in the States for longer than 30 days. It's crazy.
I'm sure there were a lot of snowbirds already there who were cheering for the Jays last night.
I'm sure there was.
Yeah, we know this, that many, many Canadians cross over the border to get away from winter temperatures.
Yep.
And a lot of things have changed since Donald Trump was elected president. Some people have just decided not to go anymore. And now there are new rules that took effect that if you're going to cross via land over the border and stay for longer than 30 days, you have to get fingerprinted and photographed.
That's crazy.
Which is it's like a criminal event, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's, it's one thing you go over the border and they search your car pretty well, that kind of stuff. But to be photographed or fingerprinted, I assume will stop some people from going and saying, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk to somebody who understands snowbirds better than most people, Stephen Fine.
Yeah, that's right. Stephen Fine, the president of Snowbird Advisor.
Yeah, and he kind of he does a lot of things, but one of the things he does is run a website that is kind of a big resource for a lot of Canadians who are going across the border. So he would understand the ins and outs, and I assume he's getting a lot of phone calls and emails about this new rule. So I'm looking forward to chatting with him about it.
If you're one of the many snowbirds who flee the Canadian winter for warmer temperatures south of the border, there are some new rules in place that you need to be made aware of. Here to help us understand the new regulations and what's driving them is Stephen Fine, the president of the company Snowbird Advisor. Stephen, thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk to us tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Stephen, before we get into the details, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and the services that your company provides.
Well, Snowbird Advisor is a one-stop resource for Canadian snowbirds, tips, tools, information, services for snowbirds specifically. And we also have our own insurance division, Snowbird Advisor Insurance, that offers travel insurance to snowbirds and other travelers as well.
Okay, let's get to what everyone is talking about. U.S. Customs and Border Protection has confirmed that anyone staying in the country for more than 30 days, which means a lot of snowbirds, must be now fingerprinted and photographed. How long has that policy been in place?
Well, there's a lot of confusion right now as to what's going on. It depends who you speak to. That has come out, but we have not had confirmation from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services that the other requirements that came into place can be used instead of that requirement. So there's, I guess what and a lot of your viewers might not be, or listeners may not be familiar with any of these requirements. So I don't know, do we want to back up just a little bit?
Sure.
And give
Sure. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's.
So in April, there was a new requirement that anybody who came into the U.S., it was implemented on April 11th of 2025, that anybody who came into the U.S. For 30 days or more needed to register with the U.S. government. Now, Canadians who fly to the U.S. are usually issued what's called an I-94 when they fly through the U.S. That's given by one of the CBP officers. You never see it. You don't know that it's happening. It happens behind the scenes. Now, that happens in most cases, but not all cases when you're flying. When you're driving across the border, on the other hand, you're generally not given an I-94. So you would either have to request that from the CBP officers or order one online in advance. And in the past, both of those generally did not happen. So you wouldn't, if you requested an I-94 online, they wouldn't issue it to you. Or if you requested one at the border, they wouldn't issue one to you because there were too many people at the border and it wasn't something that they normally did because you need to go into secondary to be able to get that. And it takes time on resources on their part. So the process was that you would go through the border, you would check on the I-94 website, which the U.S. government runs, to see if you've been issued an I-94 for your most recent trip. If you've been issued one, you're already registered with the government, nothing else to do. Mm-hmm. If you weren't issued one, you would then go and you would go online to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services website and register online by filing a Form G325R. And you would
let me write that down. Hold on.
The G3, I know, it's very complicated. So you would, if you weren't issued an I-94 for your most recent trip, you'd file that online. There's no biometrics. There was no cost to it. So that's the rule that came into place on the 11th. Mm-hmm. Everything seemed okay until about a week ago when we started hearing reports that people driving across the border were being forced to get an I-94 at the border in secondary inspection. So they were forced to go and get an I-94, and CBP officers were telling individuals that they didn't have the option to go into the U.S. and file G325R, but they had to apply for an I-94 at the border, which is something that they hadn't done in the past. Okay. So there's so much confusion going on right now. Now, some CBP officers are not giving that direction.
Yes, yeah.
So some CBP officers are saying, okay, go ahead, go through, and you can file your G325R when you're in the U.S. So very complicated right now. So we are advising snowbirds to expect multiple options at the or potential registration requirements when they get to the border at this point, because there's so much uncertainty. It really depends on the border you're crossing, and it depends on the CBP officer that you're encountering.
That's right. So basically, what you're saying is some are getting fingerprinted and photographed, and some might not be.
Exactly.
That's crazy. Go ahead.
What a pain in the ass just to go to Florida. Stephen, your phone and your emails must be going crazy from snowbirds wondering what the hell is going on.
Yes, we are inundated with phone calls and with emails. So this is the advice. The only advice we can give right now is go to the border and you realize that you may be presented or required to go through different registration options than you were originally expecting to go through. So if you thought you were going to go through the border and register your G325, they may not allow you to do that, or they may allow you to do that. It really depends on what the directives are from the individual CBP officer. But our advice is whichever registration option you're offered or required to go through the process, get across the border, and don't argue or disagree with the CBP officers, because that rarely goes well.
Yes.
We have not heard any incidents yet. I'm not saying that it's not happening, but we haven't heard any incidents yet of anybody being refused or having an issue going through the border. They may just have to go through a different registration process than they were expecting.
But what you're saying, Stephen, is it was only about a week ago that you started hearing about fingerprints and photograph. That's a new thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Does that concern you? I don't know if that's a fair question, but I'm assuming it comes as a surprise to a lot of snowbirds that are crossing and getting that, because being fingerprinted and photographed feels a lot different than filling out a form.
It might be, but I mean, look, the governments have all kinds of information about us already, so I'm not sure that many people would be particularly concerned about that.
Do you know how many snowbirds, on average, are in the United States every winter?
Well, we estimate that there are about 1 million Canadian snowbirds, and that would translate that means individuals who are about 55 plus who go away for between 1 and 6 months over the winter, and about 80% of those traditionally have gone to the U.S., with 20% going to international destinations.
Okay, and has it changed at all during the Trump administration? I stole Scott's question. Has it changed at all during the first and now this second Trump administration?
We are seeing some shift this year. We don't know if it's related specifically to the administration or more to the policies that started coming into play last year in February with the tariff issues, the 51st state rhetoric, the new requirements to register if you're there for 30 days or more. So that seems to have had more of an effect. But it's really too early to tell at this point. We won't know until the end of this season what the actual effect is and how many snowbirds did or didn't go to the U.S. who previously went to the U.S. There's definitely some sentiment amongst some snowbirds that they don't want to go back to the U.S. right now, but we don't know how widespread that is and how many of those will actually go to different destinations.
Yeah. Stephen, do you know if anyone has turned around and said, forget it, I don't want to be fingerprinted and photographed, I'm just going to go home?
We don't have any reports of that specifically. It's possible that it has happened, but we don't have any reports.
Stephen, I may have missed it when you were rhyming off all those lovely sounding forms, but is there a cost associated with those forms?
So if you are going through the border, if you're going through the land border and you're requesting or required to get a Form I-94, or an I-94 card, there is a fee of $30 US per person. If you go into the US and you register online by filing Form G325R, there is no cost for that filing.
What's the general sense from people you speak to, members or people who depend on your services, on how they're being treated in the U.S.? Are things the same as they've always been for snowbirds go to the U.S., or do they feel like it's a little bit different in recent years?
It's a mixed bag, really, depending who you talk to. Some of them feel just as welcome as ever, and others are a little bit concerned about the environment down there.
So, what's the biggest piece of advice, Stephen, that you would give to snowbirds?
Yeah, I think I want to reiterate what I said before. Just be open, just have the expectation that you may not have the option to register with the U.S. government in the way that you had planned when you go to the border, and be open to whichever registration option is presented to you by the specific CBP officer that you encounter when you're going down, because you'll still get across the border, you'll still be able to go, but you may just have to register differently.
Yes, it seems like this is one of those situations where we're going to learn as we go, I think, right? We're going to hear more information from people, what their experiences are.
I think so. I mean, we're hoping that we see a little bit of clarity in the next couple weeks. Fortunately, right now we're just starting snowbird season, so there's not a huge influx at this point. And our hope, when we don't know if it will happen, but our hope is that in the next couple of weeks, we will get some clarity from the government and some uniformity in the policy and how it's applied across the border.
Real quick, just a couple more questions, Stephen. Appreciate all your time.
Sure.
You mentioned the 51st state and the tariffs. You obviously interact with a lot of Americans in the work you do. What are you hearing from colleagues south of the border about all that?
Well, I mean, we mostly deal with people who are in the travel and hospitality industry. So many of them are welcoming to Canadians, and they want they want Canadians to know that they welcome them and appreciate them as visitors when they come to the U.S.
Stephen, I'm just curious, do you winter or spend any time in the States, and would you jump through all of these hoops?
I mean, that's a personal question for me, but I will say that I don't find these, and maybe because I'm so close to them that I understand them really well. I don't find these particular registration requirements particularly onerous. But remember, I'm dealing with them every day. I understand them well. So for me, they seem like second nature, but I can completely understand why someone who isn't familiar with them, a snowbird who's going down would be caught off guard or be cautious or be nervous or concerned about this because they're not as close to it as I am.
Sure. And just, you've mentioned this a couple of times, but just what would you say to then that person who calls you and says, Stephen, I don't want to be fingerprinted. I don't want to be photographed. What would you say to them?
Well, I mean, there's in the current environment with what's been happening or what we hear has been happening in the last week or so, that may be a possibility. You need to be prepared for that if that is happening. We haven't heard any reports from people who have gotten back to us and said, I don't want to be photographed. I don't want to be fingerprinted. I mean, it's part of the security process. And you really have to think about, well, what is the risk to you of being fingerprinted and having your picture taken? And if you have a Nexus card, you've already gone through that process as well. So,
is there anything else we didn't ask you, Stephen, that you wanted to get across before you go?
No, I think just that seems to be the topic of the day. I would say is really what's happening at the border. Just stay updated, stay informed. Things are changing from day to day right now, and be prepared to maybe modify the way you register when you do go to the U.S. But at this point, we haven't seen any major issues with people being turned away. It's just a matter of how you register, and if you follow the rules and you're aware of them. Neither process is particularly onerous.
All right. Good advice there from Stephen Fine, the president of Snowbird Advisor. Stephen, appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I'll tell you how you avoid all that paperwork.
You stay home?
Go to the Dominican for the winter.
Yeah? No paperwork?
Well, you're not getting fingerprinted. Well,
you might get arrested.
Maybe you might.
Wrongfully charged.
That's right, yeah. Keep your luggage close by.
Yes.
Previous episode, dig it up. You'll know what we're talking about. I don't know. To me, it almost seems criminal that to get into the United States, you now have to get your picture taken and fingerprinted.
Mm-hmm. I think it's why we go through such onerous things at the border is because we're sovereign nations and we're allowed to decide who comes in and who comes out. And there's actually less there's more they can do at the border than they can do, for example, when they arrest you. I mean, they can subject you to a strip search, but you can turn around and leave and say, no, I'm good. I don't want to do that, right?
Yeah.
They can rip your car apart. They can rip your engine apart. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Have you ever been through a secondary search?
I don't think so.
I have.
Yeah?
Years ago, we were going to Florida, Disneyland, Disney World. Not Marine. Another future episode. So you get kind of herded into a secondary area with a bunch of people, and they do the swab. Well, they make you stick your hands in your pocket and then come out, and then they swab your hands. Next thing I know, Border Patrol's calling over a supervisor. Supervisor comes over. Here's what the woman said, and I'm quoting, "Mom and the kids are fine, but we got a hit on the dad."
A hit on the dad? What was the
I'm
hit?
like, what do you mean you got a hit on the dad? I had some residue on my hands.
From what?
Well, they claimed it was explosives.
They claimed.
That
sounds about right.
And asked me, what I did for a living. And of course, I'm like, well, I work with some explosive personalities, trying to be
Sure, they love that humor, right?
I didn't go
You
over
just say,
well.
I build bombs in my garage.
No, I did not. I did not. If anyone from Border Patrol is watching, I do not do that. Why would you say that? I'll never get into America. My God.
As long as you take a photo and be
It's a great
fingerprinted.
country, by the way.
Yeah. But this is the reality. Like, they can make the rules. They want to go in. And I think Stephen's right in saying, if you want to get into the States, you have to follow these rules.
That is the price you pay.
I think he's right in the sense, too, like, I know it just sounds so wrong. You take my photo and take my finger. What do the governments know about what we're doing? They know our movements. They're tracking our phones. They know there's so much information that authorities can get at the snap of a fingerprint.
If we knew what they knew, I think it would blow us all away.
This is really turning into a conspiracy show right now.
Oof, wow, is it ever?
Okay, let's head back to your garage.
Let's. That's right. I got some stuff to build. I can't believe you said that.
This show's gone right off the rails.
It really has. All right. We'll get it back on the rails for tomorrow. Derek Turner, producer of this evening's program. As always, closerlookpodcast.ca. That's our website. Check it out. We will send you brand new episodes 6 days a week if you would like that. And Closer Look at Village Media. That's a big sigh. .ca. All right?
Just lamenting how much this went off the rails.
I know, it's crazy. Closer look at villagemedia.ca if you have any questions or comments about the program. For Michael Friscolanti, editor-in-chief here at Village Media, I'm Scott Sexsmith. Thanks for watching tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7 right here on Closer Look.
Frisco and Scott's Wardrobe provided in part by Moores, Sault Ste. Marie.